to talk about the Detroit Lions. Our big buddy Patricia's first season didn't go so well. They beat the Patriots in a stunner. They
swept the Packers.
Home dogs by a large margin. Managed to go 6-10. Pretty darn disappointing. Their total was 7.5 last year. They obviously went under, and they're currently at 7. I don't know.
We were 2-2 picking their games. We backed them against San Francisco. They backdoor covered. They were down by 17 with like 4 minutes left. Came back. We had their over against Green Bay, which should have been a lock, but Mason Crosby missed 5 kicks. Went over at the very end. We backed them against Minnesota on the road and Chicago in consecutive weeks, and they did not cover either one of those, despite Chicago missing 4 kicks from Cody Parkey in that second game. So just kind of a so-so year picking their games. Their most valuable players, Stafford, Golladay, Damon Harrison, A'Shaun Robinson, Darius Slay, and Kerryon Johnson.
My wayward son.
Having Kerryon Johnson in that list sort of shows you how bad the roster was a season ago.
Because he barely played.
Which means when they went out in free agency, they were pretty aggressive, right? Going and getting Danny Amendola, Trey Flowers, both of New England fame, Justin Coleman from nickel corner from Seattle, another reason why Seattle might regress. Rashawn Melvin, an underrated signing. C.J. Anderson, Jesse James, probably not going to move the needle much.
When I see those most valuable players, the things that stick out to me are this. Damon Harris and A'Shaun Robinson made it into that list. Their primary role is to stop the run.
Yeah, and they were very good at it.
They were very good at it, but they took a huge step back in coverage this past season. Yep. And that you need to be able to cover better. It doesn't matter if your defenders are that good against the run if you cannot cover. Darius Slay obviously can. Only the Niners allowed a higher EPA per slot target than the Detroit Lions. So with that pick that they have, I know that on our current mock at ProFootballFocus.com, we've got them taking Greedy Williams. I could not like a pick more. I think that's fantastic. Yep. That if their coverage goes from bottom half of the league to 10 to 15 range, that can be a huge bonus for this team that should have the tools with Golladay and Amendola, and Stafford, who is grossly overpaid but not a bad quarterback, to do some things.
Yeah, and the thing is you look at what moves the levers for teams. Defensively, they were 25th overall in EPA allowed. Yep. 17th against the run, which is fine, but 28th against the pass. That's really pulling that 25th number up to where it is. Last season, they got rid of Glover Quinn. They still have, Quandre Diggs to play strong safety. They're going to have some struggles, I think, on the back end. But like you said, if you can get a corner in the draft, pair him on the outside with Slay, inside with Justin Coleman, Trey Flowers up front, you're starting to see a little bit of what could be the makings. We saw them schematically have the potential to do really well. Their scheme defensively was the thing that the Patriots used as the blueprint for the Super Bowl. They just need personnel to sort of come in and actually be able to execute it. But they were very much on the cutting edge of being able to stop the Los Angeles Rams last year.
Well, that's the silver lining. So I think they overpaid for Trey Flowers. Yep. That being said, I don't think it was that bad of a signing, and here's why. We talk about this a lot. If you are going to go out and sign a coverage or a pass rush player, coverage is something that is very valuable. It's more valuable, but it's less stable. You're less likely to actually get a return on the huge investment that you make. Trey Flowers, there's a pretty darn good chance that he continues to be a solid pass rusher. So maybe you overpay for him, but at least it doesn't have bust potential. And what it does is it allows you to now go take some shots on a Greedy Williams, who will not command as much of that salary cap, is certainly less of a known quantity, but has the potential to really improve your team overall. So that's the silver lining. I don't think it's that bad of a signing. I do think they overpaid for him, but there were certainly worse signings out there.
We always talk about this, but what do you think? So right now, DeAndre Baker, Greedy Williams, Byron Murphy from Washington. The fact that there are 3 corners who are good in the draft, does that what appears to be a market that is drastically loving the interior defenders, edge guys. Does that mean moving back to like 12 or 15 is the smart move? We would say yes, because you're going to get one of those 3 corners.
This. What if teams pass on quarterbacks and all of a sudden you've got a situation where the lines are at 8? It's similar to what the Cardinals did, right? They moved up to 10 last year. There might be a team that wants to move up to 8 to get a QB. You might get a real haul for this pick and still get one of those 3 corners. That's the thing that people always forget. We may spend hours and hours and hours and hours deliberating which of the 3 is better. We really don't know that much. You're better off acquiring another pick to go with it.
But what we do know is on average, corner number 3 plus 2 other picks is better than corner number 1, usually.
Yep. Okay, here's something that I want to talk about with the Lions because it was much talked about this offseason. Look, they need to run the ball better. That's the problem. That's what Matt Stafford is struggling to be a top 5 quarterback because they can't run the ball. So they make a huge effort to run the ball, and they improve a lot. In fact, running on first and second down, they went from 29th to 14th in EPA per run play, doubled. It's still negative EPA, but let's leave that away for now. Almost a yard more per play on first and second down runs last year. What do you think happened?
Their offense was less efficient.
Yes. In fact, their passing on all downs went from 12th, the year that they were one of the worst 3 running teams in the NFL, to 18th. Shocking that it didn't help that much. Overall, they went from 14th to 20th in offense, despite drastically improving their run game. I don't think I need to say anything else.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing is out is Jim Bob Cooter.
Yep.
And in is Darrell Bevell. Now, Jim Bob Cooter, I'm actually looking this up. Last season in our coaching ranking, he was about middle of the pack.
Yeah.
I believe, and I have to just check this in a second here, I believe that ranking has gone down in many ways because of running the ball in second and long is going to yield a worse than expected offensive outcome, especially given that for all of his limitations, Matthew Stafford is a pretty good quarterback. But he needs to be put in situations that make him better. Running on first and second down, we're not putting him in situations to be effective. We saw that we was sacked like 10 times against Minnesota, Chicago, all that.
That ain't it.
That ain't it.
You know, we talked about unstable stat of the week.
Yeah.
2017, Matt Stafford, passer rating on third down, 110.7. 2018, 76.8. I'm not very acute at arithmetic in my head, but that seems like a large drop. EPA per passing play on third down went from 0.1 to negative 0.1. That's not good. Third down passing is not something you want to rely on. You want to throw the ball on first and second down instead of running it. Even if you become a better running team, that does not help your overall offense.
Jim Bob Cooter, as late as the end of 2016, was 7th in our offensive coordinator rankings behind Shanahan, Payton, McDaniels, McVay, Zampese. By the time it got to at the end of 2018, he was 19th. So again, you're talking about like those decisions are just getting increasingly bad. And as we saw with the Packer article, you have to evolve as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Darrell Bevell, not much better. He, second to last in our offensive coordinator rankings. It'll be interesting to see if they actually upgrade as a part of that, change.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of bullish on this team. I think they make the right pick, maybe trade down. That coverage becomes a lot better. We've seen, Golden Tate's not there anymore, but good slot, good players on the outside, like that offense can be solid.
The division is more wide open than people think. Green Bay is vulnerable. Chicago, as we think, is vulnerable, and the Vikings certainly, are not getting better. So Detroit does have a path to the NFC North. Hopefully they get there. Matthew Stafford, bless him, as he's going through what he's going through now. But I do think he's good enough to take that team to a winning record and a possible division championship.